All right, guys, welcome back to the Clack Shack again. Been a busy day. It is a cool 95 degrees in the Clack Shack today. I've got both the fans working overtime, but 95-degree wind is still 95-degree wind, but at least it's not sitting still. Keeps you from sweating as much anyway. I had to do a little work last night on some of my magnets for the Peach Park. And if you're not familiar with Alabama or you've never been through Alabama, then you may not know about the Peach Park. But if you have, I've got a display at Peach Park where I sell things. And for those of you that do this as a hobby and looking to try to find some things to sell, when I put the display out, it had keychains and refrigerator magnets that are custom made for this company for the Peach Park. And we have found that the refrigerator magnets are apparently the hot topic among the touristy types. So I will in the future have a larger display dedicated to refrigerator magnets that I'm going to be building, and I'm going to build a bunch of like unique designs for those refrigerator magnets to put on that display at Peach Park. But today I'm going to be opening a couple of pieces of equipment that got sent to me, and going over what they are and try to put them into use and see how well they work. So stick around for a few minutes and we're going to get this started. All right, guys, I got two packages. I got an email from Comgrow, and I'm hoping I'm saying that right. That's the way it's spelled anyway. And they wanted me to take a couple of their pieces of equipment and put them to use and see what I thought about them. Now, I've already got the one enclosure that I've got that I use for my large items, and being that I've got my D1 Pro on the way, my plan is that hopefully between all the stuff that I've got here and already got, I'll have enough to temporary house my machine that's coming. And what I've got today, and just before we get started, guys, to clear the air, this stuff was sent to me free of charge. I didn't pay for it, so YouTube wants me to mention that to you. I guess in the event that I were to be a little more loving of it or whatever, but y'all know how I am. I'm going to be honest with you regardless. I'm going to give you my honest opinion. This was free, but it wasn't something that was necessarily on my shopping list, so it's not like they gave me a new truck or anything. So this is an enclosure here, and I will say though, I'm a little intrigued by this guy. This is Comgrow's version of an D1 Air Assist, and I did a little bit of research. There's not a whole lot out there on it, but I did a little bit of research, and so far I kind of like what I see as far as the videos, the specifications of it, the way it's put together, what's included in here. You know, yet to be seen because I haven't actually put it in, installed it and put it to work yet, but from outside looking in, I think this is going to be a pretty good find right here. I do know that it's a lot cheaper than the XTool version, so that may be a selling point for some folks. And the pump, I do know that this pump actually has a variable speed adjustment on the cable, and that's something that the XTool doesn't have. So I'm kind of curious to play with that a little bit. But anyway, I'm going to start with the enclosure because I figure like that's going to be the quickest and easiest thing to put together, and I'm gonna go ahead and put it together. And guys, you know I'm terrible at following directions when I get things out of the box, so I'm probably gonna skip through the me putting this thing together because it's probably gonna be a little bit of a tedious thing. Me and directions don't mix very well, but I will show you what the parts are before I get started. The legs for this one are gonna be metal. It's more of a shiny metal than what the ones I've seen in the past. It's got these, all the fittings or whatnot to put it together are like a PVC type material, it looks like. It does come with a adapter for air exhaust, Not sure what size this is. Let me get my measuring tape here. Looks like that's for a 3-inch line. So it's got the plate and everything for a 3-inch line exhaust, which I think 3 inches is what I've got over there. So I've actually got an exhaust line and a fan for it already. All right. I guess these are kids' gloves. Not sure. Not really sure what they're for. But they definitely do not look like they're clack sized. No, guys, these are definitely not my size. So I've got some gloves for one of the women around the house, I guess. Not sure what those are for, unless it's maybe to make sure you don't cut yourself on the sharp edges of the metal. Not really following the gloves. And the fabric. This is going to be the fabric for the enclosure itself. I haven't looked at a lot of the ratings on it, so I don't know if we can set fire to this one or not. But I'll venture into that before the publishing of the video, and hopefully I can add some more to it. But right now I'm going to try to get this thing put together, see how big it is, see if it's going to accommodate my my D1, because when the new XTool D1 Pro gets here, my current 10 watt is going to get evicted from the enclosure, and until I can get around to building another enclosure for it, this one or the other one that I have is going to have to do for it. So I'm going to try to stick this thing together right quick, and I'll get back with you as soon as I do, because I don't want to bore everybody with me sticking pipes together. All right, guys, I got the basic frame together, and I just kind of wanted to update you on what we got going here. It comes with, it looks like 4 different lengths of tubing. Obviously, these longer tubes are going to be for the main frame, with the exception of these 2 little pieces here that go in the front. The directions actually weren't bad. So I was able to actually follow them pretty well. But if you get one of these, remember the 4 pieces that are bundled together that are called H, they've got an H printed on them or stickered to them. Those are going to be the ones that go up between the 2 different layers. It took me just a second of laying this stuff out and looking at it. I figured out how it all went together and it made sense. Now this is going to be a pretty substantial enclosure. It looks like it's going to be a 24 by 24 inner dimensions inside the tubing. So you're looking at like 24 1/4 by 24 1/4 inside. So that is definitely big enough to house an XTool, because that is the dimensions of the base of my enclosure that I built. And pretty much all the parts are very self-explanatory. You've got elbows with sleeves on them, these 90s with sleeves, and I mean it's not exactly rocket science. So I do know that the way they designed this thing, the front is open. So once you get these 3 in, whichever part you want to be the front, which it doesn't look like it matters. It's not really a directional build from what I can see. You're just going to take and pull all these together. They're pretty snug, pretty rigid little frame. I mean, considering it doesn't have any glue or screws or anything, it's pretty rigid, so that's good. I was a little concerned with this piece not being a full-length piece, that it might be a little flimsy. The gloves, I'm pretty sure, are as a safety precaution, because these little edges, the machining on them does create a little bit of a lip. So if you have soft skin, or if you plan on twisting these a whole lot, you may want to actually use those gloves. Or if you're like me and you can't wear those because they're too small, you might want to bring your own. But luckily my hands are calloused enough that it wasn't an issue. I haven't cut myself yet. And this is going to be the cover. I'm going to throw that box over here. It appears to be a similar fabric to what the other one has. I'm not sure about fire rating. Like I said, I would have to do some research. It definitely looks like it was made of some type of fire-resistant material, but I don't know how resistant that would be. The design appears to be fairly simple. Now, it does have the orange window. I do like that. That's cool. As opposed to just being a clear window. So, it appears that you just kind of drape it over this guy. I don't know how snug it's going to be yet. We'll see here in a minute. Yeah, it's going to be a little snug, so I have to kind of work it around these corners. Guinea's out there making racket. I don't know if y'all can hear it on the mic or not, but she is hard at it today. All right, it looks like the top is actually long enough, and it's a little bit of an elastic around the bottom, so that you can pull it down below the metal and kind of keep it from sagging. Let's sit this up where I can get onto this corner a little better. So yeah, it's actually not a hard build. Very similar to what I'm used to with these. So it does have the little Velcro retainers here for the middle to keep it from flying up. We'll be attaching those. And guys, it is still hot out here, and I don't know what the humidity is. I'm going to get me a thermometer up here that tells me what the humidity is for you guys that keep saying that, you know, Arizona's hotter or Texas or whatever. I agree, it may be hotter, but I don't know that it's humid as it is here. Sometimes I feel like I live in the jungle. But there it is, guys. The opening's a little different design than the other one. It doesn't have the bar, it doesn't come all the way across. Still pretty rigid, so I don't guess that's a big loss. I mean, for what it is and for what it'll be used for, I mean, so far so good. All right, and there's the hardware, I guess, for this air exhaust. This will be the outside sleeve, the inside sleeve, which looked like it was cut out of acrylic. Make sure the holes line up before I get in here trying to fight screws. Make sure there's not like a special direction it's got to be. No, we're good. Oh, wait a minute. Two little safety stoppers. My guess is that they would go here. Like I said, I didn't follow the directions real well, guys. Once I figured out it was easy, I just went ahead and threw it together. So, got two little safety stoppers. And like I said, apparently that it is a concern about these little sharp edges right here. And that's why they send you those too. And so if you was to scrape up against it, it wouldn't cut you. None of the corners that I encountered were sharp enough to cut me. But if you had thinner skin or, you know, a kid sticking their finger in that hole or something like that, that could be a bad idea. So not a bad idea to put those little caps on there. I think I want the screws outside and the nuts inside. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go ahead and put the screws into this flange and just line these up. And the way this works is the screws go through the fabric, of course, and then on the inside you have this plate just to basically sandwich that fabric in between the two pieces. It's pretty good design as far as it's better than just having screws or something stuck through it so that it tears the holes out. And I tell you one thing I am noticing, that this thing is actually level. It's round, so therefore it's not going to mess with my OCD by being out of level. So that's good. Kind of digging the black. This is one of those situations, guys, where having small fingers would be an advantage because these little screws are tiny. Go ahead and put this last couple of screws here in. Y'all may actually get to see the fan that I purchased a while back and was going to replace at my table, because I have all the parts I need now to house my D1 and have it to where I can actually remove it relatively easy until I get me a enclosure built. So I'm going to need a little pair of pliers over here to the tool aisle and a Phillips head screwdriver. Snug these down real good. I'm not going to over tighten them because I don't want to break these little guys. Just snugging them down. I'm using a pair of pliers to hold the nut so that it won't, less likely that I'm going to break them and I don't got to go digging through a bunch of wrenches trying to figure out what size they are. So there it is, guys. That's on there. I want to say, I thought that fan I bought, I thought was a 4-inch, but let me go grab that guy. Yeah, it's a 4-inch, so that's not going to be helpful unless I get a reducer for it. So the fan that I have is a 4-inch, so that's not going to work. But I do have a reducer somewhere around here, but we're not going to look for it right now, guys. I'm guessing this would double as a cover for that. That's what it looks like, because it's got some little markings on it that indicates it's made for twisting. So I'm guessing if you're not using that port, then that's how you would cap it. Or if you needed to modify it to work with a shop vac or something, you could actually use that little guy there to make your adapter for your shop vac. So that's that. I've got it together. I'm going to set it over here to the side, and we're going to play with this air assist kit and see what all's in there. Whew. All right, guys. I'm going to hydrate a little bit with some sweet tea. And for those of y'all northerners, yes, there's sugar in my tea. Last time I went to New York City, they didn't know what sweet tea was. So if you live up north and you're not used to drinking sweet tea, I'm going to give you my redneck tip of the day. Take your tea that you would normally drink and get you about at least 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Mix it in with a gallon of that tea. Try that and let me know what you think. Because if it wasn't for sweet tea, I wouldn't make it. So, this is Comgrow's air assist kit. And I cheated and opened it a little bit just to make sure that I knew exactly what it was when I was watching videos to try to figure it out. Like I said, there's not a lot of videos out there, not in spoken language or in English anyway. So I'm still kind of not 100% sure about all the details of this thing. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to get everything out and lay it out, and we'll talk about it and look at it and see what it is. So there's the hose. It does have a brass fitting on there that looks to be oversized, maybe a piece of 3/8 hose. I'm sure it's metric, but it's close to 3/8. That looks familiar. Some tape. Also got the hardware, some screws. There's a couple of like hose holder plates in here. And from what I can tell, this air assist is actually made to work with the XTool D1 as well as another brand. I'm not sure if that's Comgrow's machine. I'm thinking it is because I do know Comgrow makes a Z1, and I think they offer it in 5 and 10 watt lasers. And so I'm pretty sure it fits their 5 and 10 watt as well as the XTool 5 and 10 watt. And I think what they did is they built it for their machine, and then they realized for just a few parts to be added to the kit, it would make it versatile for either machine, which is, you know, versatility is a good thing. So some of these parts in here, according to this illustration, aren't necessarily going to be for XTool. But I'm going to go ahead and get the compressor out first, because that's going to be the heaviest part and the bulkiest part. And at first glance, guys, all the way down to the little feet here, it looks remarkably like the XTool Air Assist, and that's what I've got on my machine. I mean, it is very, very close to the XTool Air Assist. And if I didn't have all my cables secured, I'd set it over here and show you. But the XTool, on my XTool, the output for the airflow is here, and on this one, of course, it goes across the top. That's really all I'm seeing from a distance, and I'll get some video of them over there closer together. But let me grab my extension cord here. I want to see what kind of airflow this thing's putting out and see if it's comparable. I really wanted to get me a gauge to test them with, but I couldn't find one here locally, and so I just figured I would do it the old-fashioned way and just test it with seeing how much pressure comes out past my hand. So this is what I was saying. Let me move my cup. This is a variable power knob, so you could turn it down or you can turn it up. All right, guys, me and the camera are having a fight again. Apparently, it just wants to randomly shut off. So I'm still looking for a camera, so if you guys have any suggestions on what I should look into, by all means, drop it in the comments and let me know. I'm gonna go back through this again because my video died on me, but it's very similar to the XTool machine, and I mean like very similar, except for the only thing that I see right off is the color and where the airport here comes out. The variable power is that is definitely a plus. You know, it wouldn't have bothered me if it had an off and on switch and variable power. That would make it twice times as cool. But you know, the little thumb roller, it's not bad. I will probably end up mounting this if I use it in the enclosure, but my plan is to leave my XTool D1 Air Assist. I'm going to leave it in the enclosure because I've already got the hose routed. I've got everything set up for it, and I'm gonna leave that on the enclosure. And when my D1 Pro gets here, I'm going to put it in there, and I'm going to take the Air Assist nozzle and everything off of the XTool D1 and put it over out of the enclosure, and then I'm going to run this on the 10 watt outside of my built enclosure, and probably temporarily in one of these enclosures here until I can get everything situated for it. Giddy. So that's the plan. And so I'm not going to be installing this today, guys. And that's the reason, is because I don't want to break my machine down right now, because I'm not going to put this Air Assist in my enclosure. I'm not going to put this Air Assist in my enclosure, and so I'm going to wait until the other machine gets here. That way I'll have a machine in the enclosure running, hooked up, and then I'll be able to run this. So at first glance, the parts, the way it's designed, cat-like reflexes, the way it's designed, the parts that it comes with, it looks like a good deal, guys. I will say too, for those of you who aren't a fan of the screw being in front of your nozzle, in front of your framing laser, the way they have designed this one, it has a set screw, which is an Allen set screw. It's recessed in there so it doesn't protrude, and it's right above where the Air Assist tube feeds into the machine. So that's going to be a plus for those guys that really have heartburn with that screw sticking out. I can see where that would be beneficial. And I will say this too, The nozzle's very, very similar to the one XTool uses, but I'm probably on this one. I didn't do it on my XTool when I put it on, but I'm probably going to put me a little bit of thread sealer on this piece as I screw it in, because as round as this thing is, there's not a flat face on this where the screw goes in. So I'm not too sure how well that O-ring is going to work. And another thing that I may wind up doing with this one that I didn't do with the last one is get me an O-ring that's the same size as this, or at least a thin piece of rubber, and make myself a little gasket to go right there. Oh Lord. Guys, we got some kind of big bug done flew up here in my workspace. Get him, Fluffy. Fluffy's trying to attack bugs and they're flying in here on me. But it appears to be a pretty good design, guys. Like I said, this is Fluffy says, hey guys, this is different with the metal plate, but with the application and the way I'm gonna be using this, my 10 watt, it'll probably work better because it's gonna be out of my built enclosure. So I'm kind of looking forward to testing it, but it'll be, leave it alone. It'll be the 3rd is when my new machine's supposed to get here, the Pro. And so shortly after that, I'll be installing this air assist onto my 10 watt and swapping my XTool brand over to my new machine, the D1 Pro 20 watt. So I'll keep you posted, and I'll do another video once I get it installed, but I just wanted to kind of let you guys know what I had and what my intentions were. Fluffy, are you done? Get over here. So, but that's gonna be it for today on this, guys. I've got another little project and a design that I'm working on. I'm gonna play around with that, and that's one reason I don't want to go to messing with my laser setup today, because I only have one machine that I can count on for cutting right now. I've got Junior over there, but it doesn't do a real good job on my cuts and takes a lot longer. So I try to stick with my XTool for my cutting. But I'm gonna, oh, it's a zoo, guys. But I'm gonna put this away and save it for when my new machine gets here, and I'll be sure to do a video installing it and do a little testing with it after it's on there. So from the Clack Shack, me and Fluffy would like to ask everybody to, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. I'm going to put links in the description for these pieces of equipment that were sent to me, and I want to reiterate in the video as well that these were given to me. I did not purchase them, and so Fluffy, get your so if you're interested, you can feel free to click the link and look into it. But I'll give you a little more detailed information once I've got this installed and actually using it. But just from for preliminary examination here, the output pressure and the way it works is very similar to the XTool. The nozzle is very similar. The only big difference that I see is this shroud. And I haven't really figured out what the hole on the back is for yet, unless maybe that's an alternative way of running this through here. Not real sure. I'm gonna do some research on that. But I'm gonna, I'll let you go, and I appreciate you stopping by. Apparently Fluffy would like some attention now, and so I'm gonna sit here and pet a cat for a few minutes. But again, if you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll check back later. Have a good day. What are you doing, you crazy cat? What are you doing?